Okay, so the other day, right, we were talking about solving equations with rational coefficients, right? Today, those were all basically one-step equations, okay? Now, when I say one-step equation, I mean, I don't mean like little lesson steps. What I mean by one-step equation is there was basically one inverse operation to do, okay? To be able, or there's basically one operation going on in the equation. Today, we're talking about two-step equations. So meaning that there are, most of the time, two different operations going on, which requires us to do two steps or two inverse operations, okay? So solving two-step equations is what we are talking about today, and so kind of almost gave you the definition here. So the word is two-step equation, everyone?
Two-step equation.
And this is an equation that contains two operations. An equation that contains two operations. All right, so in your little box there, that's an example of a two-step equation. 15 equals 3x plus 6. Okay, 15, of course, that expression is a simplified integer, right? But on this expression, you have an addition sign, but the 3, this is 3 times x, so there's multiplication there. So multiplication and addition. Okay, so go ahead, you can put your binder away if you'd like. Go ahead and grab your book if it's not already out. Grab a piece of paper, and let's flip over to page 336. Page 336. Eyes up here when you're ready. All right, so this is one of those I do ones, meaning I just want you to watch. I'll let you guys copy all the work and answer down here in a second. So go ahead and put your pencil down for a second. All right, and let's take a look. Okay, so what I have is I have a two-step equation. I have multiplication and addition going on. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find my variable. In this case, we've talked about like terms. I'll call this a variable term. It's our b term. Okay, I'll find the whole term. All right, it's usually multiplied or divided. And then what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do the additive inverse. So right next to it, on that expression, I'm going to go ahead and subtract 15. And then I'm going to do it to both sides. So what we end up with is 3b is equal to 12. And now I have a one-step equation. So now I do my multiplicative inverse, right? Here's our b. So b is being multiplied with 3, so I'm going to go ahead and divide by 3. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side of the equal sign, and we end up with b is equal to 4. And that's what we're doing today. Now granted, right, this is a little bit of an easier one, so we'll get into some steps and some more challenging ones, but that's a basic two-step equation. All right? So I'll let you ask questions after this next problem. But for right now, go ahead and copy that down. When you get done copying that down, let's go ahead and write down number 32 on our paper. Okay, so with two-step equations, we'll go ahead and say this is step 1. Okay, step one is find your, and a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times you will see a variable term. So what I have is I have my variable here, but it's being multiplied with the 1/9. You have a coefficient there. So find it. The reason is, remember, is we want to stick to that side of the equal sign. Because remember, sometimes, for example, the example we looked at during our vocab, the variable was on the right. So a lot of people always love sticking to the left to right, kind of like reading an AB class, okay? But it's not always the case. Find your variable, or your variable term in this case, okay? So step two, after you find that, which side of the equal sign it's on, which side of the equation, I'm going to go ahead and find what's next to it. In this case, it's subtraction of 3, and I'm going to do the inverse operation. So I'm going to go ahead and add 3. Okay, now step 3 is whatever you do to one side, now you do to the other. So show your work on both sides of the equal sign, and we get 1/9 h, because these cancel, equals, and this of course 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay, in this particular type of problem, step 4 is now we're going to do our multiplicative inverse. Okay, so you're going to repeat. I guess you could write the word repeat here, but repeat with the multiplicative inverse. So in this case, though, this is just like, at this point, it's last Friday's homework. So we have 1/9 times h equals 5. And again, we could divide by 1/9 off of each side, but again, let's save ourselves some time, right? And instead of dividing by 1/9, we're going to multiply by its reciprocal, 9/1. Whatever you do to one side, you're going to do to the other. I'm going to set this up like this. So those cancel. So I bring h down, and then I set it up like this because, of course, it's 5/1 times 9/1, which gives us 45/1. So h is equal to 45. Okay. So the two-step equation, at least when they're based like this, you're going to see steps 1, 2, and 3 are your major steps, and then you're going to repeat all 3 steps all over again, except this time, of course, you're going to do your multiplicative inverse, at least with this problem. Okay? Any questions? All right, here's what I want you guys to try. Go ahead and try out problem 34. 34. Bless you. Go. Okay, how many of you need more time? Okay, give you a bit more time. Check in with you guys in a second. All right, checking again. How many of you guys still need more time? Okay. All right. 30 seconds. Go ahead and turn to your neighbor and share. Go. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and check it out on problem 34. Right, we have 20 equals 1/5 m plus 12. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull a seat number just for an answer. Just looking for an answer right now. All right, seat is not here today. Seat 17. M equals 40. All right. Agree, disagree. What do you guys think? Okay. All right. Anyone have another one to share? Okay. All right, let's check it out. See if you guys are correct. So here's our variable term. I do additive inverse first, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract 12 from both sides. So that gives me 1/5 m is equal to 8. And here, sticking on that right side, I'm going to go ahead, instead of dividing by 1/5, I'm going to go ahead and multiply by its reciprocal. Okay, so 5/1, and do the same thing over here, 5/1. And so these cancel out. We end up with m is equal to, and then of course 5 times 8 is 40/1, or just 40. All right, nicely done. Any questions, guys?
Is it possible to switch it around, like 212 plus 1/5 m equals 20?
Yeah, that would be called commutative property of addition, meaning that these two terms right here, as long as you keep the sign, this is a positive 1/5 m, and that's a positive 12. So you can switch them, and it would have the same meaning. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Okay, let's then go ahead and take a look at problem number 66. Problem 66. Okay. So, problem 66 is x over 2 plus 5x over 6 plus x over 4 equals 380. Okay, so this right here is this is a two-step equation. Okay, however, we have to do what we can call step star before we even finish off the two